Hello, I had a few requests to review the Kleinguenther K15 Instafire, as it was called sometimes, as well as a product made in Japan by Nikko, and it's called the Golden Eagle. Now, it was a little tricky finding them, but I did. So I thought, actually, I'll just make one video with the two rifles, and there's some benefit in seeing the action side by side, which maybe isn't always possible. So I'm just going to talk as the camera goes over the different actions. So in my right hand is the Kleinguenther. It's made by a company in Germany. The spelling of the company is Voere, and in the United States and elsewhere, a lot of people pronounce that Voere. And whenever people from Germany hear that, they correct the pronunciation and say it should be pronounced Voere or something like that. Anyway, I'm often mispronouncing things because people have many different ways of saying the same word. Of course, I never mean to offend anybody. So on the right, anyway, it's Kleinguenther was the distributor in Texas, and these were available for a while in I think 80s mainly, maybe into the 90s. Anyhow, you can see that this Kleinguenther is beautifully finished firearm, and it has the California style stock with the Monte Carlo comb. On this side, the typical raised cheek piece, and everything about it is quality. The bottom metal is steel, and I think I'll just set down the Golden Eagle now. So this Kleinguenther, the K15, has one interesting feature, and that is, well, it has several, but this is cool. You push this button here, and the entire floor plate pivots. And then inside here is the removable magazine, and it simply falls out. And there's a brass follower, so that's kind of a quality touch. A lot of times the follower is plastic now, or some other metal, which is fine. I tend to like metal followers, as a lot of people do. And then you just pop it back in place, and then this closes. So that's that. The bolt, people were asking me about how it locks. So I mean, pretty simple. 3 locking lugs. You see that a lot now on Seikos and so forth. So maybe this was a little bit ahead of its time. Here's a Seiko or Sako type extractor, and then you can see that the bolt face accommodates the ejector. It's a large diameter bolt, and there's some jeweling or machining on the bolt, which is just cosmetic. The action is quite smooth, and operation is typical bolt action. Trigger is positive. It locks the bolt handle as well as the trigger, but it doesn't bear directly onto sear as far as I know. So that part is pretty straightforward. And with the locking in the front, and you can see that the lugs are the same diameter as the bolt body, which makes the action run very smoothly. And everybody that owns these knows that they're very accurate and entirely reliable. Again, a typical gloss finish on the wood. So that's the Kleinguenther, and this one has Buehler rings and bases. They're good. A lot of people like them. Someone messed up a screw here with the wrong screwdriver, but I often see that. It's not a big deal. Less common is the Nikko product from Japan, and just in case nobody knew what it is, they made sure that you can see Golden Eagle. That's hard to avoid. Some people didn't like this. They felt it kind of makes it seem cheaper. The machining on this action is terrific. On the German product, they stuck with fairly straight lines wherever they could. That reduces the number of milling operations. It gives it a sleek look as well, which isn't bad. Bolt handle is fine. And on the Nikko, you can see they've done quite a bit of scalloping, which may not seem like a lot, but if you're familiar with milling operations in a factory setting, that's a lot of extra work. And the other side of the action is similarly well shaped. I buy these whenever I see them, partly because I like the rear locking, and that's why this is in this video. It looks a lot like the, some people would say it looks a lot like the Kleinguenther and maybe a Weatherby, and I guess there are some similarities between Weatherbys and these and other similarly styled guns. But the only one that I know of that has the rear locking is the Golden Eagle. And of course people say there's case stretch with a rear locking action, and technically that's true. But the result is there are no locking lugs up front, which means there's nothing that you have to deal with pertaining to locking lugs as you run the bolt. So it's very smooth. And I mean, for practical purposes, unless you're a reloader, you don't really notice that your brass is stretching or anything like that. It has a tang safety, which you're mostly familiar with, I think. And I'll just uncock this. And then this one has a more conventional floor plate, and you can see the typical operation, and then this goes in. Whereas the Kleinguenther has this kind of cool system. I don't know which one people like more, but that's you don't see that every day, and you don't see the rear locking Nikko. Of the two, which is more accurate? Well, I've fired, I don't know if I fired these, but I've owned these before, and I don't think you could really say one is more accurate than the other. They're both excellent, and barrel making technology is so advanced now. I mean, people are talking about minute of angle, this and that, and that's good, but they're all so accurate now. That's a mature technology. Everything that I know is steel and walnut on these guns. I didn't take a magnet to this, but I believe it's steel. This is steel. And yeah, you know, if you went out and wanted to make this or buy this today, you'd probably spend $3,000. I paid $400 for this Golden Eagle, and I see them change hands for that price. And they call this, by the way, the Model 7000. Nikko, Nikko Model 7000. Golden Eagle. I'll flip it around. But they're hard to mistake once you start recognizing profiles in guns. And, you know, a lot of times the gun people can tell in a split second what they're looking at. So, two guns that you do see around. Not everybody's aware what they are. And oh, and they called it the Instafire because the lock time is very fast. I don't have the technology to tell you how quick the lock time is in milliseconds, but it is fast. But again, there's nothing wrong with the lock time on the Golden Eagle. Of the two, which one do I like better? Just because I think to buy a rifle of this quality for $400 or $600, just because people maybe don't know exactly how good they are, I prefer this. And there's something about that bolt operation which is really appealing, and they're accurate. I mean, they have everything that you would want, unless you don't like the what they call a California style stock. This has basket weave checkering and then cheek piece. That's about it. I mean, they put a gold trigger, which I guess some companies still do that. I don't know if we need gold triggers or not, but anyhow, two very interesting guns and worth buying if you come across them. Compared to the modern products, well, these are far ahead in quality and if not accuracy. I mean, the modern guns are as accurate as the old ones, but these are really good values on the market. So that's about it. And I guess this recoil pad's getting a little old. This one's still holding up. So that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.